Raided from the air 19 times as a city, homes split open like dolls' houses and businesses flattened. 2 weeks in 1942 when extraordinary sights became the norm. 85-year-old Eileen Reynolds was heading for work in a shop on May the 3rd, only to discover it no longer existed.
I thought it was so, I couldn't believe it. I think I was in shock most of the time because I didn't really think that that's what would be, that had happened, because there wasn't that much banging as far as those explosions or anything like that, to make it like that.
Eileen's family had come from London and were living on the outskirts of the city, sometimes taking refuge in a barn.
Well, I mean, I just stood and it was so scary. And I just turned around and thought, right, I just started to run, walk, crying. And I don't remember seeing a car or a person or anything. It's so strange. But I finally, got home and went in the door and just broke down and said what I'd seen.
She's one of 20 survivors of the Blitz whose testimonies have been recorded for a project to produce a theatrical documentary at Exeter's Bike Shed Theatre. In the immediate aftermath, the city was visited by the King and Queen.
One woman in particular, Vera, her sister Millie's husband Walt was an air raid warden, and he went missing in that raid. And when the King and Queen came to visit, Millie was very distraught. They were looking for him. They were looking under tarps to see if they could find him. And the Queen stopped them and came over and asked what was wrong. And Vera said, well, her husband's missing and we can't find him. The Queen went over to the King, whispered to him, and he came over and shook their hands and said he was very sorry. And then Vera said, I think he had a stammer, didn't he?
The attacks were part of the Baedeker raids, named after the German guidebook of England's most beautiful cities. Ron Potter, as a boy, was excited, despite having fears for his father, on the night of the bombing.
Well, at the time I was thinking about my father, because he was in the fire service. And he wasn't home. And of course we didn't know where he was. And I think it was about 2 days later, he came home and said, everybody okay? And, okay, Dad, you all right? Yeah, I'm okay.
In all, 265 people lost their lives. More than 1,500 homes were destroyed.
What do you want people to gain from the production, do you think?
I think just to be able to sit and listen to these amazing stories of ordinary life in extraordinary circumstances, and to hear about the landscape of the city, which was so different before the raid. And we walk down the High Street and 4th Street every day, but I walk down those streets differently now with those stories in my head about the planes coming up from 4th Street and just the extraordinary courage that people had.
With only slight damage, the cathedral at the heart of the city dominated the new skyline. And in the suburbs, even the legacy of the raids is evident today. Gaps in what were uniform rows of terraced houses remain, reminders of that awful night. Thankfully, memories of those who lived through the raids of 1942 are now preserved. Richard Lawrence in Exeter for the West Country Tonight.